Welcome to our special edition of Travel Vibes. Today, we're thrilled to have Sabrina Freeney with us to discuss the five most important factors she considers in choosing the perfect travel companion. We call these the five C's. They are culture, cost, comfort, companionship, and cuisine. We invite you to join us as Sabrina shares her valuable insights and personal experiences, helping us all become better travelers. So let's just dive in.
Are we going to be on?
Wow. Good
Hi,
morning, Sabrina.
hi, Edith. How are you?
I'm doing fine. I'm doing fine. Thank you for doing this for us. We're going to be recording a video on Sabrina's travel vibes. And we're going to be discovering Sabrina's five C's of the perfect travel buddy. And just so that our guests will understand how we met, Sabrina, how long have you been a member of Exodus Summit?
I attended the very first Exodus Summit, and I found it by way of being in touch with Rashida. I was following her page, and when they scheduled the first Exodus Summit, I joined and was really excited about it. And then I attended the first meetup in Cancun.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
2020, 2022. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So, how did we meet? We met through one of the workshops on Airbnb, and it was placed under Hosting Honeys, and that's how we met. And I recorded a video of my interview of Linda Houston, who was one
Mhm.
of the members and who wanted to travel to France. The title of that video was One Way Ticket to France, and you saw that video, and as a result, you traveled to France.
Yes, I did.
And this
Yeah.
is the result of that traveling because you have some tips that you would like to share with the ladies who are thinking about traveling with a buddy. Is that correct?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So why don't you introduce yourself to us?
Well, I am a longtime traveler. I've been traveling since I was in my 20s. I am now a recently retired university professor
All
um,
right.
with plans on continuing to travel. Based on our meeting, as you referenced, when I was in the Exodus Summit group, one of the things I had been thinking about was relocating abroad. But what I've come to believe and be committed to right now is the idea of just doing slow travel. I realize I love slow travel. It meets my
Wonderful.
needs more than just packing up everything and moving abroad. I still have to declutter.
Okay. All
as we
right.
as we talked about in hosting huntings, and I tell anybody that's
Okay.
getting ready to travel, whether it's solo or co-travel or with a group, get rid of the clutter. Get rid.
Okay, wonderful. So let's discuss your most compelling reason for traveling. You mentioned traveling to immerse yourself in different cultures rather than just being a tourist. I found that very interesting. Can you share an experience where this approach deepened your cultural understanding and personal growth?
Well, one of the things that I always start off with is this idea of the difference between a tourist and a traveler. And some of that goes back to this idea. It's a 19th century French idea of the flaneur, a person who wanders. But and so I look at a tourist, and even tourism, at least for me, is someone who takes a break from their daily life and they go to have an experience. And whereas a traveler, like I said, is more of a flaneur, and you're moving through life. You don't have a set itinerary, which
I
is why
see.
I like slow travel. It's basically this idea I've heard it said, being open to everything, um, but not committed to anything. So that when
Wonderful.
you're traveling, you have time to just say, oh well, let me go in this area. Let me try this restaurant. Whereas when you're a tourist, it's like you're on a schedule, you've only got a limited amount of time, you have a certain itinerary. Whereas slow travel, the idea of being a flaneur gives you a lot more flexibility. And that's why I love slow travel.
Okay, and just to recap, culture is your number one reason why you travel. So let's move on to your second most important reason for traveling, which is cost. Now, Sabrina, as a budget traveler planning longer stays, what challenges have you faced with cost, particularly single supplements for hotels and tours? How do you balance budget constraints with the need for accessibility and comfort as we get older?
Yeah. Well, as I shared with you, Edith, I am a committed budget traveler, and and that requires a certain amount of research. And the way that I look at it is, I can travel longer as a budget traveler, right? That facilitates the slow travel. Versus, yeah, I'm staying in a five-star hotel. I'm there for a week. I'm doing Ubers all the time, and when I can do a comparison shopping, I realized, oh, I could stay even longer if I,
Ah,
just budget, and plan differently. And so it comes down to this idea of, what is the difference between frugality and cheap? Okay. And I think
wonderful.
that the idea of frugality is looking for value, right?
Ah,
Best value for money. Um,
yes.
Cheap is basically just taking the lowest price thing without regard for value. And so that you end up being in situations that may not be conducive to what you need, particularly if you are a solo traveler or if you're an older traveler. You get to a location that may not be as safe. It was cheap,
Yes. Yes.
it was cheap, uh,
Yes.
but it may not be the best value. And so that's why how I, just basically align those two things, to, the cost in terms of allowing me to travel for a longer period of time, and researching those costs, and as well as, understanding that I'm frugal, but I'm not cheap.
Wonderful. So that's your second most important reason, cost. Now,
Yeah.
let's move on to your third, which is comfort. So, Sabrina, you distinguish between frugality and being cheap when traveling. How do you ensure that you and your travel partner maintain basic comforts like air conditioning, hot water, and Wi Fi while maintaining a budget?
Well, those are things that, I research, and that's why I go back to the original idea of research. I don't believe in just, just jumping on a plane and or train and just going somewhere. I look at and compare what, for example, an Airbnb offers.
Yes.
Sometimes I'll make the distinction, and again, it gets into, safety, how long I'm staying. Am I going to stay in a guest house? Right? Am I going to stay in an Airbnb? Am I going to find a nice little, inexpensive but safe and comfortable hotel? You know,
Ah,
and so it comes back to those kinds of things, and being honest with myself. There was a time when I would have thought, like, oh, I wanna, I just want to be there among the people. But sometimes when you're living among the people, that might mean not having an air conditioner, might mean having a ceiling fan. And, I mean, seriously.
I got it.
And so you have to know yourself, and know what's important to you. As I've gotten older, steps are important to me. Before, somebody said, oh, it's on the third floor. I'm like, oh, okay. Now it's like, does it have an elevator? How many steps does it, if it does have steps, how many steps does it have? One of the things in terms of, doing the research is, knowing yourself and looking for those kinds of options. I didn't think I would need Wi-Fi.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? I didn't think I would need Wi-Fi, but if you're going to be gone for a month,
Yeah.
or two, away from your friends and family, and you're
Yeah.
traveling,
Yes.
you need Wi-Fi.
Yes,
You just need
definitely.
it. You know,
Definitely.
yeah.
Wonderful. So we've talked about culture, we've talked about cost. You just finished talking about comfort. Now let's talk about your fourth C that's important to you in traveling with a co-buddy, and that's companionship. So, Sabrina, companionship, as you well know, is vital to your travel experience.
Mhm.
How do you navigate building a sense of community and overcoming social isolation, especially considering the increased vulnerabilities as a solo female and mature traveler?
Well, either as I shared with you, I think, social isolation, as we all know, is not healthy. And for anybody. And it's not the way there's a study that says that it's more dangerous than smoking cigarettes. Uh,
Yes,
and so one of the things that I realized in terms of being a solo traveler is that yes, you're going and you want to meet people and you will meet people, but there is this sense of social isolation.
yes,
And so I like the idea of not living my life that way. I want to be, I want to have a healthy experience while I'm traveling. Uh,
yes,
so the idea of coming back, and we don't have to be joined at the hip if I'm traveling with someone, but I like the idea of, coming back and sharing the day, with
yes,
someone, whether
yes.
we've gone our separate ways, whether one stays in and one goes out. I like that idea of sharing the experience as I go along, you know,
Oh, wonderful,
as I go
wonderful.
along. And I do think that, we really need to be aware of issues. Like I said, you can be a solo traveler, you can be a female traveler, you can be an aging traveler, or you
Yeah,
can all three at the same time, and
yes,
recognizing that um, there's women traveling in the world experience the world differently than men traveling the world.
yes, yes. And that is another video because I would love to hear about that because I know you know it. Yes. Yes. So thank you for that. We've talked about culture, your number one. Your second C is cost. Your third is comfort. And you just explained companionship very well. And now let's talk about your last C, which involves food. And you know, we all love food. And that C is cuisine. So we all know that cuisine, food plays a significant role in your travel experiences. How do you incorporate local markets, street food, and fine dining into your trips? And what advice do you have for travelers who may be picky eaters?
Well, I let me say this. One of the things I share with someone is the very first thing that I do when I get to a place is I go to a local market. I go to the grocery store.
Okay,
And it's just an orientation. It's like, no, I'm not doing the walking tour. I'm going to the grocery store. Um,
okay,
that's an important part of the travel experience for me.
wow,
I like trying, street food and eating in local restaurants.
yes,
But I also, when I travel, treat myself to at least one, fine dining experience, at least. Okay.
yes,
I'm not fine dining every day because I'm on a budget.
yeah, yeah, oh,
uh,
well, yes,
yeah.
definitely, definitely,
uh,
definitely,
but
definitely.
I also I think that that is a critical part of the experience. It is part
Yeah,
of that intercultural competency to excuse me, that we all get when we travel. It's part of the culture. It's part of the cultural reasons of why
right,
I travel. Uh,
right,
and I understand that people have dietary concerns, that they may be picky eaters, and that's fine. Because it doesn't apply to me and it doesn't impact me. Uh,
yes,
but I'm pretty much open to everything, you know,
wow,
and whatever the risk may be with, with some of the street food, in different places. But I am open to trying everything, and not, I'm not afraid of food, essentially. And some
wonderful.
of my best experiences have been street food experiences.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. Well, Sabrina, you are definitely well traveled, and I can't wait to talk with you further about your experiences, especially doing research. You need to do a video on that one because I don't know anything about doing research for travel. But I've just thought about another C, and that's connection, because you really have talked about all of these five different C's that are important for you, culture being number one, and cost, comfort, companionship, and food, which is cuisine. But that really speaks to connection, doesn't it?
Mhm, mhm.
Yeah, and so it really helps you to bond with the person that you're with. So maybe next time we do a video, and hopefully you agree on doing another one, because I love talking with you, we can talk about how that creates connection.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. And then that's another C. C is,
Yeah.
as part of that is communication.
Yes, yes,
Yeah, having someone who really is in touch with their emotions and can communicate well, obviously, is critical to any travel experience and any kind of connection that's a healthy one and a safe and fun experience for both people.
yes. Well, Sabrina, thank you so much. Now, do you have any closing words for our co-travel buddies in the group that we've just been a part of, which is Sisters Travel Abroad?
I would say, come out, get out of your comfort zone, reach out to other people. I am an introvert at heart, but I realize that in order to have the life experiences that I want to have, you have to take some risk. You have to step outside of yourself, and
Yeah.
so be willing to take that risk and experience the world.
Thank you so much, Sabrina. I love doing this, and hopefully you'll be willing to do another one because you are beaming and teeming with expertise. And until we meet again, have a
All
lovely
right,
day.
all right. Thank you, Edith. Take care. Bye.
Welcome. Bye.